Hey, welcome guys. Yes, I'm finally back. I've been gone for a while and my what if schedule has been erratic, but I'm finally back and yes, expect everything to go back to normal. Regular updates. I thought I would come back with a banger, so I'm gonna be releasing something I've been working on for some time now. This will be what if Naruto was too OP and godly broken, guys. In terms of broken, I mean abilities for its own universe. This will also have multiversal travels and all sorts of different crossovers, but we will be starting with the Naruto universe, guys. But expect multiple realities, different multiverse, different concepts of living, different godly beings that could transcend time, space. Yes, he's gonna need to be as broken as possible because this is gonna be an epic power struggle between him and divine, godly beings. So sit back, place your feet up and relax, and I hope you guys enjoy. So let's begin this now, guys. It was a bright sunny day. The sky was shining brightly. The birds were singing. It was early in the morning. Yes, it was a truly wonderful day, blessed with an extremely wonderful climate. The land of fire, where the village Konoha resonated, the strongest village amongst the elemental nation. This is where ninjas, who are always born with extraordinary talents, always resides, making Konoha one of the greatest nations ever before the elemental nation. Yes, they had some truly remarkable individuals. Hoshirama Senju, Tobirama Senju, Minato Namikaze, Hiruzen Sarutobi, Tsunade Senju, Kushina Uzumaki, Mito Uzumaki. They had some truly powerful shinobis throughout their time, going down to the younger generation, Kakashi Hatake, Itachi Uchiha. Yes, they were truly amazing. However, none so like this boy. None of them could ever expect, none of them could ever understand the limitless potential that this boy has to offer. However, he is no longer residing within the village. Hiruzen Sarutobi, third Hokage of the Hidden Leaf, sat at his desk. He had a little book in his hand. Not his little perverted book. Instead, this one was a book of high priority. The bingo book, as he was settled on the second page in the book. This was the newest copy of the bingo book. As he looked at the photo, there was a girl. She had dark hair and dark eyes. She seemed to be around 12 to 14 years old. In the middle, perhaps. Her age were uncertain as well, / 12 to 14. But Hiruzen knew that she was 13 years old. Name: Sasuke Uchiha. She had once been the last loyal Uchiha of Konoha, but she no longer resided in the village. Hiruzen felt his heart tremble at that, showing how much he messed up, how much he didn't understand, how much he was not there to see the signs, knowing that this day will come, something that he forever hated himself for, allowing the both of them to venture out, and now they cannot be found. He sighed once more as he read the description: misleading appearance. Do not let the young, inexperienced sight of her fool you when it comes to this target. Vastly deadly. Tend to show no mercy to those that dare to attack her or her partner that she's with. Age is not a priority. Has been known to take down several powerful enemies at once. Having shown all nature transformations. Having shown excellent master over chakra. Excellent master over swordsmanship. And unbelievable control over genjutsu. This individual is to be attacked with severe precautions. The bounty on her head alive was 100 million Ryu. That surpasses son Osama Saratobi, who was just 35 million Ryu. There was a listing of countries that wanted her, such as Kumu. The Hidden Stone was there as well. The amount was lessened, going down to 70 million if she was dead, to show that she and her accomplice has done a lot since leaving the village to piss off several powerful individuals. Yes, they were targeted by a lot of people. However, they were still alive, and Hiruzen was not surprised by that. She was just a child. He knew that she was 13 years old, and yet she was given an A-rank moniker. Yes, an A-rank. Kakashi Hatake and such individuals had A-rank monikers. However, Hiruzen believed that she got that because they were not sure what the full extent of her power was. That is why they didn't give her the S rank. To believe that things had gone this far, he thought, with her affiliation to the Uchiha clan stated proudly, and her brother being out there. Hiruzen sighed as his fingers trembled to flip to the first page. Yes, the first page, where his most deepest shame and regret was. But he did flip to it though. A blonde-haired boy was smiling. Yes, he was smiling in the photo, having this air of confidence and uncaring about him. Naruto Namikaze, son of Minato Namikaze. There was a bounty on his head for 150 million Ryu. Alive or dead, they truly despised him. Caution, flee on sight. Yes, to believe that a 13-year-old child would receive this caution in the bingo book, many countries were listed for fleeing on sight when it comes towards him. Abilities, extraordinary. Abilities that cannot be fully comprehended. It was hard. Naruto was special from the day he was born, and Hiruzen knew that. The moment Kushina gave birth to him, the moment he took his first breath, Hiruzen saw it from outside of the dome where Minato had the Kyuubi restraint. The moment that child drew in his breath, the moment he cried, the night sky had split open. The heavens itself had shook. A brilliant, extraordinary gust had swept through the entire elemental nations. The heavens shook, the earth quaked. It seems like Kame itself had brought down judgment upon them, only for it to stop a moment later. The child had lost a lot that night, but he was also born extraordinary. Many, given the unclosed and confusing written statement to the bingo book, did not understand or could comprehend him. He was a double S-class threat. Flee on sight. The abilities that he's shown are so immense that people has take it upon themselves to put him as a double S-class threat, just like his father at just 13 years old. His full scope of abilities is unknown. His limitations is unknown, if he does have any to begin with. In the time that he has left this village, he has truly made a name for himself, resurrecting the Namikaze name to be feared through the entire elemental nation. And this wasn't because of chakra or because he was a Jinchuriki, all that was listed in the bingo book. This was because of things that he could do that made him seem to be some sort of god. As Hiruzen knew that from personal experience that this boy was nothing normal, that he was so beyond the scope of understanding that it was actually mind-boggling. It was hard to comprehend, hard to understand what truly this child was. Looking into his eyes whenever he brought out this unusual power allowed you to see your future. It allowed you to fully understand the scope of being alive. It allowed you to step into the divine, and to be brought out of it was truly a shaking experience. For the first few years of his life, Hiruzen had to have the boy locked away, take him out of society, to prevent him from interacting with the people of Konoha because of the incident when it showed that Naruto was not a normal child. Hiruzen could still remember the screams. Flashback. Hiruzen Sarutobi landed on top of the roof as he jumped down with his envoys in tow. As he watched people scurry and run for their life, Hiruzen Sarutobi watched as he slowly made his way towards a child who stood unaffected by all the screams. The rain was damp in his hair, his mood causing the weather to change, to show his full control, to show what sort of being that he truly was. Those eyes that forever haunt his mind, looked up towards him. Naruto, what have you done here? Is an axe. The child spoke calmly, his voice coming off as if it was peering into your soul, your very mind, your thoughts. They attacked me first. That was all that he said. Hiruzen looked towards the people that was once humans, but they could no longer be classified as such. Bodies melted together, turned into a strange, gigantic glob. They tried to escape, they tried to free themselves, minds twisting and breaking together. It was truly horrendous. In the flashback, that was a truly terrifying thought. But that was not all the things that the people have suffered. When they ever turned their wrath, whenever they even glanced towards him in a way that he found as harmful, his wrath proved to be something that gave him a wide berth. It eventually led to him leaving this village entirely, something that Hiruzen could not stop. And the day the child found out about his parents was the day that the entire place shook once more. He could still remember it like it was yesterday. Flashback. Tremors were going through the village. The whole place was shaking. It was pandemonium and chaos. Hiruzen arrived towards the gravestone. Naruto, you have to calm down. Stop this, he yelled. His eyes snapped towards the old man. Hiruzen felt his old body froze up. Knowing that the child would not harm him was something that he could not predict at this moment, or if it was truly possible to not be harmed by those eyes itself. Secrets! 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 He yelled to the heavens. It's always about secrets. Why haven't you told me about them? My father was a leader, a hero. My mother was a well-respected, powerful kunoichi, someone that people look up to. And you refuse, always giving me vague answers, always going around the truth. But now I know. How? Here's an axe. My mind is a forever expanding void that is consuming and growing as we speak. Something you or no one else can understand, the child yelled at him. Despite being so young, he was so fearsome. Gusts breezed through the area. Envoys flocked towards the scene. They surrounded the child. Go away, he yelled. A violent burst exploded out of his body, and they were all gone. Hiruzen looked around in fright as the child was now in front of him. His heart stopped at that moment. He truly thought that he was going to die. He truly thought that his existence was going to be erased. However, the child simply vanished, like he was never there to begin with. In the flashback, a truly terrifying thought. Luckily, the envoys were not killed. They were just transported to a different area outside of the village parameters. Hiruzen sighed. Truly terrifying thoughts. As he remembered, flashback. The people were in an uproar, cursing and screaming for him to banish, him to get rid of the child. His advisors, even their hearts were on the line right now, beating with fear. That child was proving to be something that was beyond their scope of understanding. Danzo Shamura even questioned if it was possible to even put this child under his control, because he did not see it as a way to do. Hiruzen had to break down and even ask his rival, his enemy Danzo, for help in this. And for once, the man was at a loss as well. They could not contain such a being. They could not understand the full scope of even trying to restrain him. Because if they did, well, they might all rue the day. They might all be turned into dust. Yes, it was a truly terrifying thought. However, there was a few people that could actually calm him down. One of them was his best friend. However, she was going through a lot as well. And she needed understanding, she needed help, which he provided. And also share his own power with her as well, to place her at his side as someone that he can trust. But that was not all. The family at Ichiraku Ramen, they were also there as well. In the flashback, to this day, Hiruzen was not sure where the family of Ichiraku was at. They were not traveling with Naruto, that was for certain. He did something to them. Hiruzen was sure that he did not kill them, but whatever he did, they were not here anymore. He wasn't sure they were even on the scope of reality, if that was even possible. However, with Naruto, he was not sure what was even possible anymore. That child has broken his mental control over reality, showing him things, making him witness things that they should not be possible, but they were. Jiraiya had insist on going after the child, despite Hiruzen's warning, begging him not to. If the child found out, if the child tapped into his rage, knowing that he wasn't there for him, he might end up eradicating him completely. However, Jiraiya was stubborn and would not listen, believing that he could come to an understanding with the boy. Hiruzen just prayed that it was possible. Wherever you are, Naruto, he said. He released a breath. I just hope you're alright. I know I failed you multiple times. As he glanced up towards the heavens, praying that everything would be alright. Meanwhile, away from Konoha, unknown area that was filled with a lot of mountains, there was a young girl, 13 years old. Her long black hair was swaying with the wind as she walked, rather casually. There was a sword that was strapped to her hip. It was not too long or too short, a perfect fit. She was wearing silver boots, her socks coming up high past her knees. She was wearing a black skirt with silver shorts under it that matched the color of her boots. She was wearing an open white vest with a silver shirt underneath. She really liked the color of silver. There was 2 bangs around her wrists. They were strange, reasons unknown. Her face was flawless. There wasn't any mark or scars. Her dark eyes were filled with a look of understanding that did not quite fit for a 13-year-old girl. Yes, she seemed to have already understanding, experience, knowledge, which doesn't make much sense given her age was that young. However, she wasn't any normal girl. Her name was Sasuke Uchiha, aka Suki. However, there was only one person that was allowed to call her Suki. Only him, no one else. Glancing up, she slowly started to take to the heavens, which most people in this day and age could not do. There was only a few that could ever achieve this ability of flight throughout the ages of the elemental nation to show that she was normal to begin with. She was one of the few Uchihas that remain in this world. It did not take her too long. However, down below the ground was so small now. As she was in mid-air, she felt it, the tremors. She looked down as she saw a large section of the earth was rooted out. It was pulled up to the sky. She watched it as it was rooted and pulled, a strange purple energy ripping it out of its core. It was magnificent. It was colossal. Only those that possess the ability to fly would ever be able to witness something like this. As she watched, the earth stuck itself together and floated, unable to fall down to the ground, as it simply remained in the heavens. She flew forward as she finally arrived. It was nothing but a patch of earth, nothing special. That was until she felt it as she turned. She saw a small, consistent pool of energy gathered. Before it was released, gigantic forests started to spill over. Animals start to materialize. Out of that energy, they came to reality, they bend, twist into space. Animals popping up. The place was calm, the breeze did not truly tear the heaven apart, given that it was just floating in mid-air. She flew over towards the one person that she allowed to get away with, calling her Suki. "Ah, Suki-chan," he said. "You're finally here." As she was holding on to something in her hand, it was a container. Inside of said container was a small lizard. It was black, from head to toe. Its eyes were purple. As it looked at her curiously, as she brought it up to her face, she had a tiny smile on her face. "Are you sure this is going to work?" she asked. He looked towards her. 90% sure, he said. "And the 10%?" she asked him. "Well," he said as he scratched the back of his head, showing that nervous tick he always used whenever he wasn't sure about something. Despite knowing what this person was capable of, despite knowing who he is, she glared at him. "If you hurt him, I'll hurt you," she said. "Come on," he said. "You know I will never hurt little Adora." She looked towards the lizard that is named Adora, as she smiled at it, as she poked the lid that he was in. "Don't worry," she said. "Everything will be just fine." He seemed to actually understand her. As she made her way over and released him, she placed her hand inside as he crawled up her hand. She then placed him down on the platform. The both of them were still levitating in mid-air. The wind was not bothering it, as it was not a problem. The boy over there was making sure of that. Finally, he came into full view. Spiky blonde hair that was as bright as the sun. His eyes were a majestic purple and blue mixed together. They seemed to contrast and swirl upon each other, giving it a whirlpool-like feature. It seems like you were looking into an endless void whenever you stare into his eyes. A cheeky little smile on his face. 3 whisker marks on both of his cheeks. They were so thin, almost fading. He was wearing a full purple suit, dark purple, as the color of his shirt went straight up to his neck. Over that he was wearing a coat. The color seemed to contrast with the purple that fit him rather perfectly, as the clothes seemed to have been made perfectly for his size, not to mention his dark boots as well, as the sleeves went straight down towards his hand because the coat was sleeveless. The dark, full body purple suit was the one that was connected together. It was rather fitting on him. He held out both of his hands to his side. Purple energy started to gather around him before it went haywire and crazy. He then shot it forward right on the lizard. It slowly started to be affected. The place shook, the sky quaked, as purple electricity rained down. It struck the island, but yet it was unaffected, it was not destroyed. A huge plume of smoke. Suki, watch as the smoke slowly unraveled, as a gigantic shadow befall all of them. It was massive, towering over the both of them. It was then that a roar that split the heavens could be heard. The small lizard that once resided there was no longer a small little reptile that could be trampled by any animal form. It now transcended any animals that would ever walk into its place. Gigantic wings that flap could cause tremendous damage. Its eyes glistening, its body now having spikes running over it, its underbelly being a bit more creamier color, its paws having nails, claws that could tear into the earth with great ease. The one small reptile that was known as Gadora, the lizard, was now Gadora, the almighty dragon, as it roared to the heavens. It looked forward as Suki flew straight towards it. "Gadora," she said. Her eyes were actually sparkling. This was a rather different personality trait that she seemed to have. If you knew her, you knew that she wasn't one to show such emotions, but yet, she was happy. Sasuke-sama. Gadora spoke, having the understanding of their language. As he looked towards her, she placed her hand on his head as she turned back towards her longtime closest friend, as she smiled at him, causing him to smile as well. Naruto Namikaze stood there with a happy smile on his face. He always wanted a clan of summon animals, and what trumped all the others? Of course it was dragons. Well, there were some other mythical beings that he had knowledge of, but let's not bring those things into this world. This was more suitable, right? Since he was awakened, Naruto knew that he was special. When he mean by awakened, it was moments after his parents' tragic death. However, he was not there to witness that. He was already taken away by Sarutobi. He was in the council chambers, hearing murmurs and talks. It was a blur for him, but his mind was slowly putting things together. It truly happened when he was 1 year old though. By then, he could already talk, experience and understand things that babies his age should not. And he knew that he was tremendously special. He had strange dreams. Well, at first he thought they were dreams. However, he now understands that they were not. These beings that call themselves primordial gods, these beings that call themselves, he was not sure in the beginning. To this day, he was not able to talk to them again. However, they guide him. They told him that he would serve a higher purpose. They told him that he was special. His birth was unique. And they told him that he must come with them to live out his true purpose. However, he did something that they did not expect. He refused. They were so shocked that they were speechless. This has never happened to them. They were all meant to serve a higher purpose. They were created for this. They birthed themselves in a way. But he just refused them. And it made no sense. The thing was, despite their talks, despite their understanding, they just couldn't understand how could he just refuse them. He then realized something. They could not force him. He didn't know why he was born with this rebellious streak, but he was just born with it. So he refused. And then they went away, telling him that he will understand one day, and that he will understand he did not belong here. But he still refused, knowing that he was not going with them. There was something else that he wished to do with his life. So yes, he refused them. And now he was here, Naruto Namikaze. The more he grew, the stronger he got. Since he was a baby, he started to understand the hate. He could peer into the minds of people that try to, well, conflict or cause him danger. However, whenever they tried, something will always befall them, either great illness or death. At the time, he did not know that he was the one causing this, but the more he grew, the more he understood, and the more he gained knowledge. When he was 4 years old, he met his best friend. Flashback. Naruto sat alone, not yet truly understanding what he was, or the scope of his powers. Unaware that the Hokage was already seeing signs of him being extraordinary. However, someone came up to him. He wasn't anywhere near any people, so it was strange. And he was so focused on his thoughts that he did not filter. She placed a hand on his shoulder as he turned to meet her gaze. She looked at him oddly. "What are you doing here?" she said. "This is my spot." Granted, he had just came here to just be alone for the first time, so he was not too surprised that someone has already been here. "Oh, I understand. I'll leave," he said, as he got up to walk away. "Hey, wait! Who are you?" she asked him. Me? "Do you see anyone else around here?" she asked. "Oh, I'm Naruto." "Naruto, huh?" End of flashback. That was the first day that he met Suki. She introduced herself, and when he first called her Suki, she punched him in the arm. It was rather hilarious. However, over time she allowed it, but no one else. However, tragedy struck not too long after. When she was 6, her brother Itachi Uchiha slaughtered her entire clan, leaving her alone. By that time, he was already showing signs of having unimaginable power. By that time, he started to tap into that power that, well, was beyond anything else. However, the most tragic thing that he came across was her, and her couldn't handle it. Yes, she could not. Flashback. Suki was a kind girl. Her father saw great things in her, knowing that she would one day bring the pride and joy that the clan was missing, that it has been missing for the past couple of years. He tried to guide her in the right direction, but it was always hard because he was trying to be a good father, but at the same time, a good clan head, trying to make sure that she was ready for her responsibilities. Her mother was always there, being supportive. However, her big brother, the one that she looked up to the most, Itachi Uchiha, loved her with his heart content. So when that day happened, she was devastated, broken. She faked it. As best as she could, she faked that she was okay. She was just 6 years old. Harrison tried to have her go to therapy. Itachi wanted to break her mind, the things that he showed her. So she faked it all. When she finally got time to herself, when Harrison truly believed that she was okay, allowing her to walk a bit free, she made her way towards the top. Yes, at the top of the monument. She had wrote a letter for her friend that she did not forget. He has been her friend for the past 2 years by then. She knew that she would not survive this fall, as she had snuck away in the dead of the night, leaving the letter where Naruto resides. And she jumped, without hesitation. She couldn't handle it anymore. She closed her eyes, only for her to be caught. When she opened them, she was securely in his arms. He flew her straight back towards the top. He yelled at her. He shouted, "Are you insane? What the hell are you doing?" he asked. He had tried to be there for her with everything, but he had not spent much time with her given everything that had happened. It was hard to do so. Harrison was taking most of her time. She did not look into his eyes. She was afraid to do so. She cowered away. He took a deep breath as he simply grabbed onto her. She fought him. She fought for him to let her go, but he would not. It didn't matter what. And she finally broke down and she cried in his arms. Their bond grew deeper that day. End of flashback. Since then, she started to help him and he started to help her. Both of them helping each other along the way, showing her the things that he could do. Revenge was on her mind as well. At the time, she was just lost and afraid, so she figured that ending it all would be the right thing to do. However, he gave her a purpose to go on, and she wanted to get revenge as well. She wanted to live. He never told anyone about that. He kept it to himself. She knew that she was strong for a child, but she was nowhere close to what he was. So he did something. After 2 years, he brought her to the field that day, and he shared his power with her. Something she never thought was actually possible. However, she felt it. Her whole body was broken down. Her mind was bursted to new understanding of reality. She knew things that she should never have known. She gained strength that she should never have had. He pushed her Uchiha genes to the limit, allowing her eyes to evolve without any problems. He cured any sickness, any tragedy that might befall her. Because the stronger he got, the more understanding he got over his abilities, the better he got in controlling them. As they realized that this village was just holding them back after the incident where the people once again put their hate upon him for who he was. He was threatened to just get rid of it all, to just erase it, but there was a better way. She knew deep down that he was a kind, person, and he did not like meaningless chaos if it was not tempted upon him. So they decided to leave. Yes, they left. There was no one that could stop them. Anyone that tried, they were simply blasted away. They were not killed, but just simply put aside. As he could still remember the day that they walked through the gates. Hiruzen Sarutobi and his envoys were at the gates waiting. As Naruto had walked right in the office and told the old man that he was leaving Konoha, Hiruzen was confused, as he didn't understand what Naruto was talking about, knowing that there has been some problems in the past. "I said I'm leaving," said Naruto. As he looked towards the old man, he simply vanished after that. Knowing the tragedy that this will befall upon them, Hiruzen knew that people would want to see him leave, and also, Hiruzen didn't want him to leave. Naruto was a great asset to the village despite everything. So he gathered his men, just for a way to convince Naruto to stay. But he knew that it was going to be difficult, even as he was. However, he wasn't the only one, and Hiruzen suspected this. They all stood at the gate waiting. "I can't allow you both to leave," Hiruzen said. "You have no say in this." Sasuke spoke up. "You've been a kind person to me, and for that I am grateful, but this village has served its time. There's things that..." She looked towards Naruto. "We must do. I know it's your job to keep us here, but we have to leave." Hiruzen was about to say something until Naruto held his hand out. A blinding light encompassed everyone's vision. When they finally regained their sight, Naruto and Sasuke back were turned to them as they were walking through the village gates. Hiruzen tried to chase after them, but they were gone in another blinding light, never to see again. Skipping back to the present time. Since then, they have been doing a lot of things. Throughout the years, they have not just been causing chaos. For one, they have been looking for Itachi Uchiha. As strong as Naruto was, he was not all-knowing. Yes, he figured that will come with time, but he was still gaining and grasping his powers. There were still some limitations that were yet to be broken on his psyche for him to evolve to a higher state of understanding. Even now he could do things that were just beyond, but he was not yet nowhere close to his peak. He was told by those gods that he was a being of great, untold powers and understanding, and they were truly right. So it was hard to find this Itachi person. However, Sasuke, she wanted to find her brother. She wanted to make him pay. However, Naruto figured that things were not as cut as dry as they seemed to be. Given what he known of Itachi Uchiha, it seemed odd that the man would just do this. However, Sasuke hated him so much that it was hard for her to see that. But Naruto wanted to meet the man face to face and look into his eyes. Then he will understand him. They had got into a few skirmishes with other nations, Kumo to be exact, and the Hidden Stone. When the Hidden Stone ninjas saw him, they called him the Fourth. He looked like his father after all, so he told them that he was. They attacked him. They were relentless. He begged them to stop. He didn't want to hurt them. However, they were persistent. So he showed them why he was not a person to mess with. He showed them. He caused the heavens to crack. He caused the ground to rupture. He ripped the skies. His power had struck fear into them. Sasuke had not shown them the full grasp of what she can do. She had came across a few Kumo ninjas. They thought that she was just a defenseless little girl. These guys were the scum of the earth. They tried to take advantage of her. She was angry. She attacked. She'd never want to be weak ever again, and her friend had blessed her with powers that she could use to protect herself. She kinda lost it there as memories of her past. Being unable to do anything when Itachi slaughtered everyone came up. Naruto was the one to stop her because if she was not stopped, she was going to Kumo itself to wreak vengeance just to get out her anger. She had cried on his shoulder that day as he held her tight. He was the only one that could calm her down when she reached such anger leveled. However, that was not all. Many minor villages see them as gods. When they stroll in, they bring great wisdom, great healing and understanding and help. After all, despite what they've done, they were not bad people. They just did what was necessary, and sometimes what was necessary involved ending several lives to do so. However, they saw the importance of healing people and helping people. They have not traversed through any of the major nations, just the smaller ones helping. And they gained friends, people that were now helping them, people that were seeing their ways. Naruto was too abashed to say it, but they were becoming a bit too much. The way they worship him, the way they grovel. He didn't hate them or anything, but the way they see him as a god. He knew that he showed signs of being a god, but it was odd for people to worship him. The environment that he was raised in, people hated him, so it felt weird. Sasuke did not feel that comfortable as well. But the people loved them so much, they offered them whatever they wanted. They would even give them the clothes off their back. They were good people. As Naruto turned towards Sasuke, who floated back towards him, having done played with her dragon, and she was truly happy. She smiled at him. She did not have the full scope of what he had. She might be all powerful now, but he was still so much more greater than her. Even though she was getting stronger. Her knowledge, her grasp, that was all because of him. I got word, she said to him, from our friends. It turns out there's another village in peril. It's known as the Land of Wave. There's this man Gato, a tyrant that is subjugating the people there. We should help them, she said. As Naruto nodded at her. Strangely enough, they were still searching for Itachi, but Suki had been tapping into emotions that she had locked away for a long time. To help people. It brought her great joy to see smiles on people's faces, knowing that she can help an unfortunate soul. She understand pain. The both of them did, so to help someone to see that smile, it brought them great joy. Yes, it did. But those that cause wrong should be punished. Divine punishment. Yes, they should be. As Naruto turned his sights towards Gadora, who now had greater understanding of what he was and knowledge of almost everything. We can't just leave Gadora here by himself, said Naruto. He needs a family. Yes, he does, she said. And I have an idea. As Naruto raised the eyebrow at her. Time skip. Team 8 had a dilemma. They were given a mission to protect Azuna. Kurina Yui recently promoted Jonin. She was not as experienced as the others, who has been there for some time. Well, many of them rely on emotions. That gut feeling that you got, it always helped you. Konoha was a village that always seeked to help people, so abandoning the client here, leaving him to his fate, was something that they couldn't do. Even the shy Hinata saw it as a way to feel better about herself and that she had a choice to help these people. Kiba was all for it. Shino was responsive to go along and help them. Tazuna was in tears as he heard that they would help him. So they venture off after taking out the demon brothers, leaving them for the recovery team to bring back to the village. As they venture towards the Land of Wave to help the people. Sometime later, Before the recovery team could arrive at the area, both Sasuke and Naruto arrived. As they were finished with their job, well, Naruto was. Sasuke, plan had been done perfectly, and now Gadora had a large family. Yes, family like his kind, that were never meant to be in this existence, but now they were. And now they were bonded to both of them, seeing them as their summoners, their only ones to be exact. Suki walked over as she saw the two demon brothers, restrained and tied up. As Naruto turned his head, he could tell that there was a few individuals coming. He took her by the hand and led her away, leaving them. It didn't take long for the recovery team to take the demon brothers. She looked towards him. It seems like Konoha is on the job as well. As she looked towards Naruto, how do you feel about that? It's alright, he said. It shouldn't be a problem. She knew that he did not have the best of feelings with the village. Well, for some people, there were some people that he had loved there, and that was Toki and Ayam. They were no longer on this plane of existence anymore though. Of course they were not dead. However, Toki missed his wife. Ayam lost her mother when she was young. He didn't have the ability to bring back people from the dead. Well, maybe not yet. However, there was something that he could do. They spend majority of their time just slaving away at the stove, making ramen to make ends meet. It might look like it, but business was not booming. He couldn't give them money. Yes, of course, he had many ways to do that. However, he was leaving the village by that point, so he sent them away. They were in happiness with their wife and mother. Yes, they were happy. And he was glad for doing that. He knew that he did not give them much of a choice, but he could feel it. Their souls. They were happy. He did not have the power yet to access such divine levels of understanding, but still, he could tell that they were happy. And he was happy that he did that. However, tampering with such kind of things brought down some unwanted visitors. Death was watching him. He told Suki about this. She told him that they will probably have to fight death if he decides to interfere. And she was right. Death was... well, they were not like each other. Death was placed here to do his job. And Naruto was interfering with that. So he's been keeping an eye on him. He knew that he was dead because he could feel it. That shivering sensation, that fear. Suki could also feel it when he was close by, because of the bond that her and Naruto share and the power that he granted her. As the both of them made their way off, despite having the ability to move at immense speed, they rather enjoy the walk as they talk. Despite being together for years now, they never lost things to talk about. Their connection was much deeper than many people. They trust each other. They understand each other. They joke around. They meant everything to one another. Losing him was like losing herself. And losing her was like losing himself as well. Untold death and destruction would befall this entire reality. This entire scope of understanding, if anything ever happened to her. Same for him as well. Her power would end up erasing untold amount of everything around her. So with that, they simply took to the trees, feeling the wind brushing across them as they moved, jumping from tree branch to tree branch. As for Team 8, things didn't went good at all. Kuruna UI was now bedridden. as her shirt was badly torn. There was bandages wrapped around her stomach. Her battle with Zabuza did not end in her favor. Yes, they were able to push Zabuza off. Her use of genjutsu and her quick thinking allowed her to actually push the man back to a state of almost death. However, he was ruthless, and in the end, he slashed her stomach. The others had jumped in. Kurenai did not fall. She knew that she had to protect them. In the end, Zabuza, accomplice that they did not know of, came to take his life. Because he or she knew that Zabuza was about to die, so they jumped in. And now Zabuza was still much alive. Kurenai was unable to tell her team that, because she was unconscious. It was a good thing that Hinata knew medical aid. Their sensei was going to live, something that pleased them greatly, because they were so afraid. For now they just had to keep the client protected. This was way over their pay grade, and they were here alone. That was really bad. Extremely bad. However, their sensei will make it though, and they will continue to help the bridge builder, thinking that Zabuza was dead. That was the only thing that was keeping them so upbeat right now, given the situation. However, arriving towards the village, Naruto could feel it. Sasuke could feel it as well. However, Naruto on a much deeper scale. The hopelessness, the helplessness, the broken minds, and it pained him. It was bad. So bad. As he was looking around, he saw children, he saw mothers, he saw fathers. They had given up. Sasuke felt something stir in her. Having almost taken her own life, she knew what it felt to be vulnerable. She knew what it felt to be completely broken. So she hated this feeling that she was getting from these people. As Naruto saw all of them looking around at the two newcomers, he stepped forward. Before he placed his hand on the ground, the earth started to twist and turn to his control. As a tree shot out of the earth, everyone stepped back in fear, thinking that this was an attack, until the tree started to spurt fruit. Everyone was in shock. Fear written all over their face, as well as they didn't understand. One tree was showing fruit that did not belong. Watermelons, oranges, apples, all sort of fruits on one tree. So vast, so much. It made no sense. The people were afraid. The ground underneath Naruto and Sasuke level up, allowing them to look on everyone at once. I know that you're all afraid. I know that you've all have been put through a lot. I know that it's been painful. I know that it's been horrible, but there is no longer any need to fear. You've all suffered by a man that don't deserve what he has. I know that it's hard to trust again, said Naruto, his words reverberating through them. I know that it's hard to put your trust into anyone right now, but I beg you to put your trust in me. Because I promise, as one of the fruit extended toward a child who reached out and picked it, the child was so hungry that she sunk her teeth into it. Tears came to her eyes as Naruto smiled at them. I will relinquish you all from this suffering. I will relinquish you all from this pain. And that's a promise, and I never break my promises. So eat, said Naruto as he held out his hand. Animals came venturing out of the forest. Animals that were not seen around here for a long while, and should not be here because they were near the coast. As the animals simply lied down and they died. They just stopped living. As Naruto told them to eat, former hunters stepping up towards the animals, checking on them. It's pure meat. One of them said in shock, causing people to gasp. Several of them went down towards their knees, bowing their heads. Who are you? One of them asked. Who are you people? Are you gods? He smiled upon them as they felt this radiating warmth. Suki smiled at him as the people were in awe. Time skip. Hinata rushed back to the house. Someone is coming, she said, as Kiba got up with a snarl. Damn it. Already? They're kids. Kiba raised eyebrow, kids. Shino extended his bugs that were on the perimeter, as he could feel them. Shino stepped back confused. What's wrong? Kiba asked. This. Shino swallowed. My bugs can tell that this person is a female, but I can sense a bit of her chakra. Shino seemed frazzled. It's almost like it's not all chakra, but what are you talking about? Kiba asked. Whoever this is, they're extremely powerful. Far above Kurenai Sensei and all of us, he said. Kiba was now starting to panic. Shino did not lose his cool this easily. What about the other one? He's male, but I can't sense anything from him. It's like he doesn't have chakra at all. Hinata, what are you seeing? Hinata described them, as she even found them rather familiar. She then gasped. What's wrong? They're gone, she said. We're right here. She blinked, spinning around. The both of them were in the house. Tazuna was on his feet. Tsunami was panicking as she held Inyur behind her. Relax. We're just here to help. Who are you? Kiba said with a snarl, as the both of them looked at him. Hinata was searching their faces as it snapped into her mind. Naruto? Naruto? Kiba said. Shino then started he couldn't believe it. Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto Uzumaki. It's been years. That's who you are, isn't it? Whoa. I can't believe it, Kiba said. Because of all of them being clan heads, they knew of these people. Their mothers, fathers, spoke about them. Especially him. The things that they heard about his powers. They overheard them, to be exact, was rather shocking. But that was years ago. You two are alive? Kiba said. As one day they just vanished. They used to go to the academy. Well, Sasuke did, but Naruto barely. And then they just vanished. And they were never seen ever again. Naruto glanced up as he saw their sensei despite the ceiling. He then vanished. As Sasuke vanished a moment later. Damn it, sensei! Kiba ran upstairs thinking that they were up to no good. Kurenai blinked as her team arrived along with the family. What's going on? The bandages. They vanished. Her stomach was clean, not even a slice. Completely healed. She blinked in shock. Who are you two? She said. It's alright now, said Naruto. Yes, Sasuke said. Everything will be fine. As Naruto turned, Builder, he said. Me? You're the only builder here, aren't you? Naruto asked. Tazuna nodded. Yeah. I will not interfere with your building. I can tell that this is a great opportunity. Something that you and your people must do by yourself. But I will get rid of the threat. So there is no need to fear. Wait, what's going on? Said Kurenai as she got up. He had simply laid his hand on her. Despite her sleeping, she could feel it. It was like he stepped into her mind and he healed her. As I said, there is nothing to fear. We're just here to help. You can build. We will not stand in the way of that. We're just getting rid of the threat. With that, Naruto placed a hand on Suki's shoulder and they vanish, causing everyone to look at each other rather confused. Meanwhile, Zabuza was bedridden. He cursed in his mind, as he couldn't believe that damn woman got one over him. Her genjutsus were truly remarkable, he had to give her that. She was strong. Far stronger than he first expected because he underestimated her. Meanwhile, that was going on. She was finally returning to tend to her master. Her name was Haku, the last member of the Yuki clan after the tragedy within her own village. To her shock though, she was being followed after she went out of her way to make sure she was not spotted by anyone. She had to put on the persona. Hello there. Can I help you? As both Sasuke and Naruto stood there looking at her, she stepped back. That boy. The girl was already daunting enough, but that boy, just a single look in his eyes. She didn't know what it was, but she felt her body tremble in fear. As he looked deeply into her eyes, it was almost like he was looking into her soul. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want the next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels. Yes, I do have 4 of them guys, more series, more movies to come. So yeah, without further ado, I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace guys.